On to Oregon and Iowa. A little Big Ten love here, even though Tom left us for the day. Tom will
Exactly.
be back on Monday. But Oregon versus Iowa. Okay, so I had a beef with this game earlier in the week, and I hate to give the committee credit, but they made this a ranked matchup for us because it was not based on the senseless fools that work or that submit polls to the AP. Iowa absolutely deserved to be ranked. I thought that
Yes.
was what was it? A travesty, a sham, and a mockery. What do they call
It's a
that? Travesty,
mockery.
and mockery. Yeah, it was ridiculous that Iowa was not ranked, and so I don't think that impacts the game at all. I think Oregon will take Iowa very seriously. They played the number 2 team in the country better than anybody else did this year. And so I think Oregon's full attention is on Iowa. There's no chance for a look ahead because they have Minnesota next week, although their remaining schedule having USC and Washington on it is interesting for sure and could create a lot of talking points later in the year. But this is an Oregon team that kind of like Texas Tech, BYU. I mean, it's got to be their style here. And we've seen Oregon's offense struggle at times. We've seen them not look great against Indiana. We saw them find a way against Penn State, but that offense wasn't clicking there either. And so you go on the road to play another really good defense. Thoughts here?
Number one, this is not the same Iowa as we are accustomed to seeing. Now, it is in a lot of ways because let's just start off with this. They run the football very well. They play with that defense. They play with that physicality. They win in the trenches. They don't throw the football to save its bleeping life. I mean, you have like 11 touchdowns on the ground by Mark Gronowski and 4 passing touchdowns. But TJ, they're averaging 31 points per game. Now you're asking yourself, okay, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What if I told you that they're averaging more points than Texas, Michigan, Clemson, LSU, Auburn, and Florida?
Not what I would have expected.
They are killing it in that standpoint. And so that's where I think it does give you a little bit of the benefactor. But you also haven't gone up against a top 20 defense this year,
Oregon's
except
defense
for
is great.
Indiana. And
Yeah.
Oregon is number 6 in the country when it comes to scoring. They're only allowing 13.5 points per game. So when you look at this matchup, I think it boils down to a few things. For Oregon, you got to trust the pass. Oregon has been such a good rushing attack this year. And they got 4 running backs that are all averaging over 4.5 yards of play. We know that they can run the football. What do we know about Iowa? And what do we know about a Phil Parker defense? They stop the run. They are going to force you to play uncomfortable the entire game in the trenches. And so I think eventually you're going to be able to run it. But what you got to do is you got to take your shots early. I think if you are Oregon, you have got to be able to set the tone and let them know we're going to throw it against you. And so you better buckle down with your top 15 secondary and make us run the football, and we're going to take our advantages. And you got some guys, whether it be Brian or Benson or Sadiq or Ticorian Moore, you can win through the air. I want to see Deontay Moore take those shots, those 15, 18-yard plays downfield, going on the road in a very, very disgusting environment. Have you seen the weather for this game? It is bad.
Nasty.
Oh, God, 42 degrees, wind chill of 28, raining in the morning. It's not going to be a pretty game. But I think that if you are Oregon, you have got to be able to set the tone through the air to then allow yourself to now trust your 4-man backfield against the run. The thing that I wonder about for Iowa, how good is Iowa's secondary?
I'll get right back to the video, but first, let me remind you about our friends over at Sleeper. Make sure that you are using the Sleeper app this college football season, whether you're playing in your eliminator leagues, whether you're playing fantasy football, or whether you're playing the more or less game to make some money with us. You can still deposit on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100 by using our code CFA. If you just want to click the link in the description, that'll autofill the code for you. It'll download the app and autofill the code. You don't have to do any work. Put your info in, play the more or less game with us, go get the free plays and make some money with us. Make sure that you read their terms and conditions because terms of use do apply. Appreciate Sleeper for their support here on College Football Addiction.
Like, honestly, Iowa is number 15 in the country, or top 10 in the country in passing yards allowed. They've gone up against one top 10 passing offense all year. Top 20 passing offense.
Yeah, Fernando.
They're not even in, TJ, I'm going to shock you on this one. They're not even in the top 20. They're in the top 40. Rutgers is a top 20.
Oh.
And on Kansas. That's it. So again, have you really been tested like the way that you're going to get tested against this type of personnel with great weapons at tight end and on the outside of wide receiver? It could be interesting in that standpoint. I think the other thing is that if you are Oregon, you can win in multifaceted ways. You can win with tempo. You can win by slowing down the clock. I think that if you're able to build a lead, let's say you go up 14-0, then start playing with tempo. Slow things down. Don't let Iowa get the football back because then you know that they're going to have to play with tempo. And the crazy part is They suck with tempo, and they've always sucked with tempo. It doesn't matter if you have Tim Lester as as an offense coordinator. They're not good when it comes to moving the ball with the timely manner. Now, for Iowa, that's honestly, in my opinion, the biggest thing that you got to look at is, hey, we're good slowing down the clock. We're in the top 20 in the country when it comes to time of possession. I need them to play Army level of slowing down the clock. You walk to the line of scrimmage. You're waiting for the clock to hit 5, 4. All right, now we hike it. Like, there should not be a play where Tim Lester is running Mark Gronowski out there and saying, we are going to trust our rushing attack. Trust our passing. We get a playoff until there are 3 seconds left on the clock. That needs to be it, because you need to put as much pressure on this offensive personnel to go ahead and maybe make some errant throws downfield. When you're in the red zone, can you trust anybody other than Gronowski to run the football? Gronowski has 11 rushing touchdowns. The rest of the team combined has 9. Like, you got to be able to trust somebody else, I think, to run it. You're going to get your advantages when you get in the red zone. The crazy part about Oregon is that they are allowing a 72% red zone conversion rate. So teams, when they get inside the 20, they score. Now, here's the funny part, TJ. They've only allowed 13 red zone trips all year. So they're really good at not letting teams get within the 20 and striking. So can you make sure that when you're running down the clock and you're getting the ball out to your wide receivers and really you're able to go ahead and trust your rushing attack to make some plays, that once you get close to the red zone, you finish drives and you're not settling for field goals. You actually get those 7 points. If you can do those things, this may end up being a game to where I think you can see a back and forth punch. The punch is going to come, I think, from Oregon in the standpoint of believing that your passing attack is going to be your backbone. I think for a team like Iowa, it comes down to winning on third down execution and milking as much time off the clock as possible. If that ends up happening, again, this feels like a game where Iowa needs it to stay alive, because if you're not getting it at 9-3. But Oregon's not guaranteed at this point to feel pretty comfortable getting in the playoff either, because you still got to face off against USC. And you still have to face off on the road against Washington. Those are 2 teams that are gunning for a playoff spot. This gives you a little bit more of a leniency to take that giant exhale and know we're 10-2, we're in the playoff. Like, we don't need to finish off the year at the right time. Is this the version of Oregon that we see kind of take that jump forward the way that many other teams have to separate themselves and know we're kind of a playoff team? Like, Oregon and Ole Miss, to me, in the month of November, are the 2 teams that I've looked at the most and said, I need to have that clicking moment. All right, everything is heading in the right direction right before the postseason to believe they can actually win a national title.
Their ranking at 9 is interesting because, like you said, if they lose this, you're talking about Oregon up against the 10-2 Texas Tech or the 10-2 Utah or the 9-3 Oklahoma. And I think you're having a lot of questions if they do that. However, if they win now, solidify themselves more by being a top 20 team, then I do think that's on the road, a very good defense. I think that's a big deal. I do think this gets muddied up, yucky, weather, all the things, the way that Iowa plays. I just have a little more confidence in Oregon. I think we get a really good one. 23-21 Ducks.
Wow.
Field goal to win it.
So here's my thing when it comes to Oregon. Oregon has a second punch. Like, Oregon can go ahead and make a counter move because if you can trust your ground game, that leads to you getting the plays downfield of your passing attack. You don't have that with Iowa. You just don't. And Iowa is going to have to jab its way for 12 rounds against an Oregon team that maybe doesn't need to sucker punch you, but if it gets that one sucker punch, it derails your entire equilibrium and it throws you off balance. And that's what I think happens in this game. I think in the fourth quarter, you watch as Oregon pulls away. I'm actually going to be a little bit meaner. I think I wrote this down here. Yep, let me see. Hold on up. Yeah, I got a final score of 24-13. I think that there's just not enough offensive consistency that I can trust when it comes to Iowa. So